Welcome to KHM Today, your bi-monthly resource for industry news and straight up fun. I am your host, Carolyn Orphan. Today is February 26th, 2025, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you guys. You know, our Crystal conference is just a few days away, and the excitement is palpable. I was in the office last week, and everyone was running around getting things finished up and completed. Some of our team is actually leaving tomorrow to prepare. So we're super excited to see all of you and welcome you on Sunday to Orlando. So we can't wait to see old and new faces, not old faces, meaning we've seen you before. But anyways, I'm excited for today's show because we get to spend some time with some really fantastic people. Our regional coordinators that are part of KHM Travel Group. The RCs are meant to be a connector between the company and all of you in your specific regions. And so please help me welcome Shalise Mosier, Becky Doby, Shelly Scott, and Tammy Phelan. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Do we have first timers? Tammy, are you a first timer?
Yes.
Shelly, your first timer? Yeah, okay. Well, welcome. It's a very quick and casual conversation, but I'm so excited to have you guys here today because I think you play a really important role in being kind of like what I would consider like the mother hen to people in your area and sort of close by you. Because obviously we can't have someone in every state. And it's kind of a unique program to KHM. So Shelly, can you share with us what your role is as that regional coordinator and the importance of it?
Thanks, Carolyn, for having us on. So what our roles are is to try to make sure that all the agents are integrated with each other as well as with business development managers so they can continue to grow their business, which overall affects KHM. So we have a lot of new agents that started recently, and especially after COVID, the industry has kind of boomed, and so did KHM because they obviously made the right choice by coming to KHM. And so what we want to try to do is get them to know the agents in their region, in their cities, their local ones, so they can kind of develop their own tribe, and then also try to connect them with our preferred suppliers so they can learn more about each one of the suppliers and help to grow their business and their sales and just become more proficient in the travel agency as a whole. And I think that's been great because I don't think any other host agency does what we do.
Mm-hmm. Do you find yourselves working with the KHM BDMs, or do you find yourselves working with more of the local BDMs? Becky?
Sure, actually. So, I mean, a lot of mine really has to do with local. So I do both, but local, but that can be different depending on the region. I'm, of course, going to be heavily involved in cruises because I have the South Coast region. And so, like Florida, of course, we have a lot of cruise ports. So within my region, a lot of the agents do sell cruises. And so then each individual cruise line has BDMs, but they also have the local area business development, the SAMs as they call them. And so those are the ones that I'm working with to set up like those ship inspections. So obviously what I'm doing is a little bit different than what Tammy's doing because, she's not over there with the, ship inspection. So what my role is, might be a little bit different from the other ladies, but I would say both, but I would say kind of a little bit more over on the local side of things. And that's probably just because of my region though.
I think that's so cool that you kind of like innately know, yes, you have a general job description, but how do you make that job description work for your territory based on where you are? I think that's really cool. And it's very creative because I don't know that everyone would necessarily think outside the box for that. Shalise, you're probably one of the first agents I met when I came to KHM. So yay, you're one of my first friends. Can you share your thoughts on like the importance of making those connections? I feel like this job sometimes can be isolating. So as an RC, like and even just as an agent, like what's the importance to you as far as saying, okay, I can't just sit in my house and be in my office all the time. I have to go be around other people.
Right. So you mentioned connections. that's huge. Like we all deal with struggles in our businesses and no one's going to understand except a fellow travel advisor, like truly. So to be able to have people in your back door, like in your backyard that you can connect with over lunch or a coffee is huge. Just to be able, whether it's commiserating or celebrating each other's successes or sharing best practices. Like it really is so important to get to know those around you so that you know that you have a support system, or if you have a question, you have someone that you can reach out to. And yeah, we work by ourselves in our homes. And so it does feel isolating, but knowing that you have that support system in place, it's, for me, it's like a sense of relief and just knowing that I'm not on my own.
Mm-hmm. Tammy, do you, in some of your conversations, because I know you're in the Chicagoland area and that's a really active area. There's lots of agents and there's a lot of love there. You guys get together on your own, but you also go for industry events. What, if someone was new coming into your territory, what would you say to them about the importance of attending either a KHM event or even just a smaller industry event in the local area?
I think the industry events are beneficial to everyone, even if it's not your niche. If you sell cruises, like Becky does a lot of cruises. Here we don't have cruise ships in Chicago, so we don't get that. Here we get more the hotel resort people. If that's not your niche, maybe check it out. Like our suppliers, when we go to those meetings, they have probably anywhere from 40 to 60 suppliers there. I have suppliers come in to do trainings in a local area for our agents too, and I do anywhere from 6 to 8 suppliers at a time, and it's just KHM agents at those meetings with them. We find it beneficial to us because we get a lot of training from our suppliers. We are spoiled in Chicago. We do have a ton of suppliers in my area, and the BDMs are wonderful to work with. So for a new person, you have to kind of find your niche, and kind of follow that and reach out to the suppliers. That's what it's all about. That's what they're there for.
What when you've been in touch with a new agent and they've just recently joined, what are some of the words of advice that you give? I mean, this has been a crazy industry lately, because I don't know about you guys, the volume of business coming in is kind of astounding when you think about everything that's going on in the world. And there just seems to be this population of people that are like, I'm going to travel. I just read an article this morning that the rise of the $100,000 booking is there. And I think that this is pretty incredible for all of us. So what are your words of advice for the newbie that's just coming in? Shalise, let's start with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of first and foremost is training, work on the training. KHM has the best training out there. And so take advantage of that. Absolutely. If you can swing it, boot camp, being able to go to boot camp, meeting people, meeting the KHM staff, making those connections with suppliers and other agents is key, but really learning the legal side of things. It seems like the boring stuff, but it is so key to a successful business. And so to me, it's do your training. You don't feel like you have to like rush out the door and immediately start booking. Play with doing mock-ups but training. And I mean, I'm going on 10 years this year, and every chance I get, I'm working on training, and it's never ending. But take advantage of what KHM offers with coaching and it's there. Everything is there that you need.
Perfect. Shelley, what would the conversation look like with you?
And it's funny because I actually had this conversation last month with the new agent that came to us. So I told her that, one, it's going to be overwhelming. You're going to feel like, I don't know where to look. Like Shalise said, definitely boot camp 1.0, 2.0, if you can do destination success. But I also told her, I said, work on the platforms and do mock bookings so that you become familiar with them before you actually try to do a booking. And I said, no, let's go back in and make sure you cancel it. But become familiar with the platforms that you're going to use. And that way, if you go through the booking process, you're not as scared when you actually go book a client and you're more familiar with things. And make sure you read all the information for compliance and read all the information in terms and conditions. And make sure you get every documentation signed, sealed, delivered as you can. Don't take anything over the phone if you don't have to, because you're going to need that to protect yourself, heaven forbid. So, and I said, don't be afraid. And if you need that support, we're only a phone call away and other agents can help you that's in your area. So, I have to be honest, Heather Allison, when I first started, she was my RC. And I drove Heather insane. And so Heather kind of walked me through at the time what was it, Mark Travel is what it was when I first started. So, she taught me how to do the bookings, and then I went into Royal Caribbean with, Espresso. But that's the biggest thing. Get used to the booking and just do the training. Training. I'm actually, I started in 13, so I'm 12 years in. We still do training. And you're going to constantly do training. So just become familiar with everything, and that'll help you out a lot.
I couldn't agree more. And, I still sell travel, but in my role, I'm constantly watching other people's trainings to learn something new or to stay up to date on something. So when I think about one simple thing that I might put together, I might go to 10 different resources to hear different points of view. One of these days, I'm going to choose a job where I never have to do this. This was the way it is in travel. This is the way it was when I was teaching high school. I'm like, why didn't I pick something like history or math? Like, it doesn't change. But I am constantly like, those are always the jobs I have picked are the ones that are constantly evolving. Becky, what sort of words of advice would you have for a new agent?
What both the ladies said already is spot on. Shelly talked about, compliance. Compliance is huge. One of the things that I think of is over the years, especially, you have the situation with the new agents too, but I do see especially situations where agents have came over from a different agency and they've joined KHM and they're totally new to forms and compliance. And it's, I hear it all the time. They were never taught to get authorization forms, to get credit card forms, and they are taking, credit cards over the phone. So it's like all of that's new for them. So definitely get in there, and learn the CRM. The CRM is amazing. Like way back when I started in 2007. So it's like the old school folder. Like we didn't have this CRM that we have now. So when we switched over years and years ago to Test, it's like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This streamlines everything, and you can send those credit card forms, those authorization forms through the CRM. So getting in there and learning, and these are things that need to be done before you start selling. Like I don't think they need to jump in and then try to figure it out. So take the time as a new agent to, start educating yourself, which both the ladies spoke about that. And like I said, and that does include not only the product you're selling, but the CRM and compliance and things like that. And speaking of what suppliers you're selling, don't jump in and think you're going to sell everything. There's absolutely no way I could know everything, even after all these years about travel. There's, some vacations that I don't book because that's not my cup of tea. I don't have the education on that. So I wouldn't know where to start. So, but if you call me about a cruise, I can talk to you all day long. So it's like, but if you think about it, and I keep going back to cruises, because like I said, that's so heavy in my territory. And I sell a lot of cruises personally. Even within the cruise umbrella, you think of all the different cruise lines have their own education. So they have the education, you have CLIA, and then you have the industry events, 360. So that's a lot. And as you said, things are constantly changing. They are, the cruise lines are bringing out these ships. They're rolling them out one after one. So if you don't continue your education, how do you know about these new ships? What do those ships have to offer and things like that? So it is ongoing education, but I would just say in the beginning, get in there and do the learning process. Don't just get on Facebook and say, hey, I'm an agent, call me to book your vacation. You know?
What I've kind of heard from all three of you, and I have a feeling Tammy might echo this, is, you know, the initial investment into starting a travel business is minimal unless you're buying a franchise. And I think sometimes that is reflected with, oh, this will be easy. And it is anything but. It is still your business. And therefore, you really have to have a strong foundation for it, meaning your business is set up correctly. And you have that education piece before you do, you know, hypothetically open those doors and let people know that you are in business and what you do. Tammy, what would you tell a new agent in your territory?
Well, everything that everyone already said, but this is where you need to take advantage of our host agency, all the trainings they offer. There's host agencies out there that give no training. It's basically, here's your sign in, run. We don't do that at KHM, and we don't just do training once a year. We do it all year long. And if something needs to be updated, we're able to go in and find the updates. And we're able to go back into our system, into our portal, and find videos, YouTubes, everything step by step. So a lot of new agents do go out there and say, hey, I'm ready to book. And then they're like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And it's all step by step in the portal or in the suppliers portals also. And ALG, now they want you to be ALG Pro and everything. And I think that's great. I know there was a lot of moaning about people having to do that education, but it's for all of our well-being.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. We have a question here in the chat. With tax season, what are your thoughts on budgeting business expenses? Who wants to take it?
Oh my gosh, my husband would love it if I worked better on that. I mean, I kind of, you know, I always kind of look to the future, you know, like Crystal is always on the books every single year. So I always budget for that. That is like one conference I'm not ever going to miss. If I'm hoping to do an ASTA event, I budget ahead of time for that, knowing that I want to do it the next year. I know that I can't do them all. And so you guys kind of hit on it, you know, kind of figure out what you're wanting to sell. If it's cruises, then maybe Cruise 360 is a good fit for you. So kind of look at that. Also, if I'm having kind of a lean year in sales, I know that the following year, I'm probably not going to be doing as much. And so that's when I have to rein it in and go, okay, Crystal and DS might be the only things I'm attending this year. And that's okay. But yeah, I mean, you just kind of have to look at what is worth the travel. You know, what are you going to get out of it? You know, if you do, you know, a seminar at sea or a FAM, what is that return going to be to your business? Can you turn around and make those sales with that company that then makes that investment worth it? And so you kind of have to think in those terms as well.
Right. Shelley?
To piggyback off of what Lisa says, in addition to the training events that's available, also look at like a lot of these tools that are out there, whether it's Travelify, Travel Joy, Turn. Use your CRM. If you're first starting out, do not buy all these things because you don't have the revenue for it. And you may buy things that's not going to work for what you want. So don't go out and start spending money on things, money you don't have yet because you haven't generated the revenue. Use the tools that KHM gives you. We have Travel Connection for a website. We have the CRM. Use those tools first. As you start to generate more revenue, then you could possibly look and see what can assist you in growing your business further. But don't just get everything because you may talk to another agent who may be Pinnacle Platinum and they have this, and this. They have the revenue for that. So don't just go out there and start doing everything. When I first started, I think I joined everything there was and had no revenue to support it. So don't buy everything. Just really kind of take a look and see what you need. Use the tools that KHM gives you. That is the best starting place before you start, you know, spending more money. As your revenue grows, then you can start looking at what tools you might need. But just don't jump out there and do that, but focus more on the training and education things as well, like Shirley said.
Couldn't agree more. And Lori, another tool that I have personally found really, really helpful is inside our portal. There's a business tracking expense sheet, and it actually does. You can actually download your credit cards, your business credit card straight to that account. But I go in and I will tell you in a second, I switched to something else, but for years, I just went in and I put all those expenses in by category. And what it helped me do at the end of the year was not only just hand that off to my accountant, AKA the man upstairs, because he does all our taxes, but it also helped me look and say, oh my gosh, why am I spending $600 a year on postage? What can I do differently? Right. And so it made me really sit back and think about that. It made me look, Shelley, and see, ooh, what are my subscriptions and do I really need them?
Right.
'Cause I'm cheap. If anyone's been in an event with me, you know I'm a self-proclaimed cheap person. And so again, if I do not have to have a tool, I will not have a tool. I would much rather spend the money elsewhere. And, I just think that's important. Now I actually switched over to using Wave, which is a free app, and I'm really liking it. So that's another option for looking at those business expenses. But, just because you're growing doesn't mean your expenses need to grow either. You can grow other things like your 401k, or, or you can give yourself a bonus. I'd rather do that than, buy myself a new printer. So think about those things. Excellent question. Okay. So would you recommend, if someone came to you and said, what event should I attend next year? What would your answer be?
Crystal, DS, Edge.
Ooh, okay. Tammy, what would you say? She's like, my backyard barbecue where I have 600 agents that live in Chicago.
I've had backyard barbecues all through COVID, so that made it work. I really think that if you need the training, they get the boot camp 1.0 and 2.0, and do destination success perhaps, and just see how that is. But I think the trainings, the boot camps are really beneficial to everyone. We have, like I said, we have a lot of trainings that happen here too. So I like the ALG training as well. So
yep. Just so everyone knows, they have not been paid partnerships here. They're all telling you to come to the education, which just happens to be my forte. But really, no one has been paid or bribed or anything in the creation of this episode. I think the message is, do your stuff and the business will come to you, is kind of what I'm hearing. Becky, what would you recommend?
Yes. And going back to, I was not paid to say this, but first and foremost, so the way I think of it is like the KHM events are for any agent. So of course, when you get into boot camps, it is different levels, but I think every single agent, KHM agent, will benefit from doing the KHM events. Now, as far as like the industry events, I think it just goes back to what you sell. So, like I was saying earlier, there's certain things I sell, there's certain things that I don't. So it would not make sense for me to spend my funds, like as Lori was asking about, like budgeting for those expenses. I mean, for me to go to a conference of, like that I'm not going to get anything out of. So, it's just kind of like that would be on a case by case depending upon the agent. But as far as KHM events, I mean, everybody, if you can, if it does fit within the your expenses that we were just talking about, definitely, do the KHM events. But also, I guess, you're looking to see which one's going to be best for you. And if you guys have any questions about that, just reach out to KHM. Should I, do 2.0, or should I, because I know I hear that a lot too, is it might be an agent that's been around for a while. And they're like, well, why would I go to boot camp 1? You know, so it's, you know, like I said, it's just figuring out what's best for you.
Right.
And any questions on that, just reach out to KHM and they'll help you figure out if that
Sometimes
event's
there's missing pieces and you don't even know it. And I think that's just it is, you know, regardless of what you sell and what volume, sometimes there's just like a piece, a chunk of information or knowledge that you just don't have. And so those are there to fill that in. I also think what I'm hearing from everyone, and I'm so happy to hear this, is make sure you're choosing things that are going to help you grow in your business. It's so natural to see something posted and be like, I want to do that. Doesn't that sound fun? But ultimately, when you're a responsible business owner, it's really not about what's fun. It's about what's going to benefit your business. And if it's fun, that's just the bonus, because really you should be doing something because it's going to help you grow. Shalise, what would you recommend?
Oh my gosh, we're like a broken record here.
That's okay.
100% KHM, like whatever they offer. And here's the thing, like maybe your budget and your maybe you have another job and it doesn't allow, or you have small kids at home. Guess what? They now you can actually tap in and watch Boot Camp 1.0, 0.2, you know, or 2.0 online. So you may not be able to be there physically in person, but you can still get the benefit of the education there. So I love that that is an option. And then honestly, I love ASTA. For those that don't know, American Society of Travel Advisors. And so like, they're fantastic. They're there for us. You can, you know, join them, join your local chapter, but like, I love their events. And, you know, you mentioned like, sometimes we're missing those pieces. Like I went to boot camp back in, I want to say 2017 or 2016, something like that. And I remember when it got to compliance, I was just like, oh, boring, you know, because it's all legal stuff. And you're like, I want the fun stuff. And it was 2021 attending an ASTA event in Savannah. And they were we were doing kind of a, you know, question type thing. And they were asking, you know, are you guys using terms and conditions? And I was like, well, yeah, I have people sign off on the supplier's terms and conditions every single time. And they're like, not theirs, yours. And I just went red-faced because I'm like, I don't have my own. And they're like, the supplier terms and conditions do not protect you. They protect them. I called Thomas Carpenter that next week and got my own T&Cs set up. So those of you that are going to Crystal next week, he will be there. And, you know, that was a missing piece in my business. So
I do have to say, I just saw that you became a verified travel advisor with ASTA. Yep. Congratulations. I completed it as well. And I just want you to, like, what did you, first of all, did you love it? And, you know, why'd you do it?
So I actually love that ASTA re-rolled the program out and they've modified it from what it was a few years ago. It's literally all legal stuff. And I did like it. You know, it really makes you think. And I'm like, oh, there's another missing piece to my agency that I need to take care of by doing that program. So I really like it. It's good for 2 years. There's, you know, continuing education through this whole, you know, through that whole 2 years that I will continue doing with that. But I did it because, again, ASTA has our back and they have a new program set out, and you could probably see the ads on Facebook. They are not spam, but it's to help promote agents that are verified, that have done the education. You have to qualify to even do the training and to get the certification based on sales. And so it's really helping guide consumers to the right agent for them. So
I am so happy that I'm putting you in what I would call the dork category, where we thought the information was fascinating and interesting, because I think there's a population of people that would say, oh my gosh, no. But I thought that the federal compliance part was like my favorite part, because it just kind of talked through some of those things that maybe you sort of knew, but really didn't know where they originated from. And what I was pleasantly pleased with for myself and my business was I actually was doing the things they were recommending without actually knowing it. Right. And so what looked maybe scary and daunting at first turned out to be not so scary. But I really liked it as well. It's very different from the CTA. If you've completed the CTA, it's very different. I think they both have a place somewhere. But for people who have been in the industry for a little bit and can make the connections for the terminology that's being used, I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. But again, I'm a lifelong learner. I like to learn, so this was a huge stretch for me. Before I let you all go, I need to ask you just some general travel questions and see what you think. And I know we have some Disney lovers on here. So I saw this the other day. What are your thoughts on Disney removing some of the most iconic attractions to make room for the expansion of the Magic Kingdom?
I'm torn. I'm torn about it,
Yeah.
right? Like, you see what they're doing at Hollywood Studios, and they're taking out the Muppets, and but they're moving it, and they're moving, so like just different things, and it, like, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be so different, draining the lake and putting in cars. I'm like, couldn't you just put it somewhere else and leave that pretty natural area, So I have mixed feelings.
Yeah. Becky, our other Disney lover, and I just don't know. Shelley, maybe you and Tammy are Disney lovers and I don't know it. But I know Becky is.
Shelley, we'll let her speak too. So I'm hoping my son never sees this video. I'm opposite of Shelley's, but I love progression. So like, I'm totally cool with change. Like, and so my oldest son, he's 32. He's a Disney lover. He does media podcasts, and he's all, it's like all about the parks and everything. And so that's his cup of tea, and he loves the iconic. And so he's kind of sad, especially you mentioned Muppets, like, oh my gosh, don't get rid of Muppets kind of deal, so it's like, I'm looking forward to it. I know I'm kind of like the weird Disney adult saying that, because most Disney adults are like, no. It was just the same way when Universal got rid of Jaws. I mean, people lost their minds when Universal got rid of Jaws, but see what we have today. So it's kind of like, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm excited. I'm in the parks all the time. So I live a little bit, like an hour away from, give or take, according to which park you're going to. So I am so excited for you guys to come to my backyard, by the way, next week. Totally off topic, but just had to throw that in there. I think it's like 80 something degrees today. So just putting that out there too.
Sounds perfect. Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. I love cars in Disneyland. I think it's incredible. The villains area, that could be fun too. But I do have, like, just don't get rid of my Jungle Cruise, because that's my favorite, and the Tiki Room. Like, do not touch those. And the Muppets is a soft spot for me. Like, I struggle with that one. You can relocate, but straight up removal will be very hard. Okay, so then the next one, Captain Kate, from Celebrity, announced that she's leaving after 22 years. What do you think she's going to do next?
Go to another cruise line.
Yep.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. I do. I think she'll take a break for maybe 6 months, and then she'll get bored, and then she'll get back into it and do something else that's challenging and different. I don't think she's someone that's just going to sit home and what have you. I don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love happily ever after with the kitty cat.
The kitty cat passed away.
No, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so behind.
The kitty cat passed away. Yeah.
I'm so sorry I said that.
Yeah.
My
That's why
condolences.
I think that's part of this. I think she's sad. I don't know that she can be on a ship and be happy without the cat. Yeah. I think she's going to become some sort of reality star, or start some sort of TV or show or something like that has to do with sailing.
Like, I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be like that, but I don't know. I just think that she's got such a presence in the media now, and but I don't see her giving up her captainship. I just think she's probably too talented in that area, and that's a long journey to say I'm done with that. So I don't know. I find her absolutely fascinating. I'm sorry, Tammy?
She took pride in what she did.
Absolutely.
I was very impressed getting on board that she was out there greeting her people getting on board. And then I was really impressed when she was taking pictures as people were getting off board, thanking them for their cruise. And she walked around the entire cruise. And it's kind of nice to see somebody get down there and know how every duty's done and to work side by side with every employee on that ship.
I think there was a lot of respect there. I feel like she was a very respected individual. And a respected. Yeah, you think so? I hope so. I never got on a ship with her. That was kind of one of my goals. Shift gears now. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being here today. I can't wait to see you all in just a few days. Thank you to everyone for your continued support of the show. We're going to do a live one, well, sort of live, next week. So it will be with a studio audience. Did you guys know that? It's going to be really fun.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll feel a little bit like Oprah. I'm not giving away cars or cruises.
That's so disappointing.
I know. Maybe I can make that work between now and next Wednesday. But we're going to have our winners panel. So I'm very excited to welcome all of those on. And yeah, you guys, we'll see you then. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.